I'm your host, Ikea Aubrey. Welcome to Can We Toast to That, where we raise our glasses and toast to triumphs, big and small. Cheers to success, one sip at a time. So join me as we toast to that. Hi Claud, thank you for coming to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today.
No, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it because I feel like it's not often that we get to speak to like Black men that are doing amazing things and just really progressing in like their 9-to-5s and like just having an amazing career and like really stepping into like the leadership and things like that. And I think it's really important to speak to like Black men yourself because there's loads of younger Black men that could be watching and just how we can inspire them and how you've gotten to where you are and the things that you do. You've got a podcast and things like that. So yeah, before we start, I'm going to get into some icebreakers.
Okay.
So the first one is invisible or able to fly?
Fly, definitely.
Okay, that was a very quick answer.
Yeah,
You knew what you wanted to say.
I'm, even today, being stuck in traffic, getting around, transportation takes up way too much of my time. So yeah, I would love that.
Okay. Any particular places you'd be flying to?
Ooh, other than around London for work, then I would be going somewhere hot, anywhere where the sun is at.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll probably say invisible because I want to be seeing what people are doing when I'm not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, invisible. Yeah. Okay, second one is vacations or staycations, since you like to fly.
Definitely vacations. Yeah, like staycation in the UK, yeah?
Staycation could be, staycation in the UK, no. I'm more of a vacation,
100%,
yeah. And I always say this as well, we've got a passport, like use it.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's people who are quote unquote like really like want to travel and things like that and they don't have like the means to do it. So I feel like if you do have the means to do it, like see the world. There's more to the UK, there's more to London. Even if it's a staycation, go and see Cornwall or something.
Without a doubt.
Do you know what I mean?
I'd say as well, like being able to experience different cultures, see how people live their lives, it opens up your mentality a lot. So it's something a lot more of us should be doing. Yeah,
because I think we get caught up thinking that like how things are done here is done the same everywhere else. So I think it's very important to be like well cultured and like just trying different foods and stuff because I love a good meal. Third one, party host or a party guest?
I'm going to say host.
Okay.
Definitely host. I feel I used to do a lot of events back in the day and bringing people together is an experience that you can't really match in my opinion. So yeah, being able to create special experiences, being able to open up new doors, opportunities, or just see people have fun.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me.
Okay.
How about you?
Party guest, because I don't want to host. I want to come and leave. Yeah, I think I don't want to do the whole tidying up and like I love organizing and setting up stuff, but then when it comes into action, I'm like, oh, this is a lot. So yeah, I think a party guest. I want to vibe, chill out, and then get back to my bed. And then the last one is money or free time.
Oh, I'm gonna go with money.
Okay.
And the reason being is that eventually you can buy your time back. So.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
What would you prefer?
Oh, what was I gonna say? Money or free time? I don't know. I think I'm not somebody that's like money driven, but I also enjoy my free time. So I think I'll probably say free time, but then I like to make money, but I'm not money. Yeah, I don't know. I'm in between.
Oh, that's cheating. You have to pick one.
It's my show, okay? Okay, cool. Now, before we get into the questions that I have for you, I'd like us to have a bit of a cocktail and toast to my guest. So yeah, we've got some cocktails. So I want to toast you because. Can we toast to that? I want to toast to you being an amazing Black man, being an exec director, board member, and having an insightful podcast. So something that we can toast to? Yes, let's toast to that.
Cheers.
Good. So tell me about young Claud. What it is that you wanted to do? What did you see for yourself being a little bit older? Like, what was you like when you were younger?
Oh, when I was younger, I'll say I was pretty creative, and I almost by force had to live outside the box.
Okay.
So I'm quite dyslexic, so it meant that the school system was just not working for me. I knew I had intelligence, but it wasn't showing up in tests and things of that nature. So quite early on, I had to work out what success was going to look like for me and ignore what it looked like for the outside world. So it gives you a lot of patience, and when go from there, I wanted to be a scientist originally.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, then a basketball coach, and then an entrepreneur, and that's where I am now.
Love that, love that. So do you feel like, in terms of when you were younger and stuff, was it something that your inspirations and stuff came from you, or was it like the environment that you were around, like parents and things like that, or was it just generally like what you would see?
I would say it came from my environment. So my dad was an entrepreneur for all of my life.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Most of my siblings pretty much at some point in time owned a business, so I was very used to seeing that. And I would say as well, like my grandmother, who I lived with for most of my life as well, growing up, she just poured so much love into me. And I think that laid a foundation that meant that my confidence, my security, or even the way that I think about people and treat people is a little bit different. So yeah, if I didn't grow up in that environment, I'm not sure who I'd be today.
And you mentioning that like you have siblings and stuff who are also entrepreneurs and stuff, did you feel, was there ever a sense of like comparison? Was there ever like pressure to do equally as well as them? Or you just thought, I'm in my own lane, I'm not going to look nowhere, I'm just looking ahead? Like what was it like?
So weirdly, even though I am a twin as well, so
you're a twin, okay.
But my parents did a fantastic job of never making that competition feel like a thing. So I am very competitive with my twin sister in the sense of, he's earning more right now, he's doing this and that, but it's
in a healthy way,
it's very supportive. So the same way, like I want to see her win, like we share advice with each other all the time when we're having hard times. So it's competitive to make us better, but not in a way that tears us down.
Okay. Now, in terms of your journey, how did you, so you mentioned that you wanted to do different things. How did you pinpoint that, pinpoint something that you wanted to do that got you into being like an entrepreneur, in terms of like your journey, like going to school, university and things like that? How did you kind of shape, I would say, like for example, like your studies and your career and stuff to kind of get to where you are? Because I think in our society now, like we want to be like a jack of all trades and like be like a master of all. So how did you kind of shape the things that you did to kind of get to where you are?
I think it was having a really clear vision of where I wanted to go in the end. And for me, I stumbled into that vision, but I got there quite early. So I think I was in college at the time when I started my first company, and that was a basketball training camp and tournament business. And that was literally because I had an injury and I couldn't stay inside playing PlayStation all day. So I remember I went to the courts, hanged around, listened to what people were saying, and one of the secrets to business is fulfill a need that people have, and people are always telling you what it is that they want or what they need if you want to listen to them. So I realized people were always arguing about who was the best player, and I thought, you know what, let's just decide this. Created a tournament, went from there. I didn't even realize it was a business at the time, although it made a little bit of money. It was my older sister that took me aside, introduced me to what entrepreneurship was, and she handed me Richard Branson's biography at the time. So reading about his life, reading the story, I was like, that's what I want for myself. So
you sound like a very self-motivated person.
I would say so. Like when you face a lot of adversity at a really young age, you can either let that crush you or you can let it mold you into being something better. And because I had that support around me, I went down the pathway of making me into a better person as a result.
And I think like even you touching upon support, I think having a good support system is really well, because I think sometimes it's very easy to when it comes to like adversities and stuff and things that you face, it's very easy to like not want to progress or like stop or give up and things. And I think you having a support system, like you mentioned, it's really important to like them kind of being like your backbone a little bit sometimes, and like helping you, kind of pushing you and say, don't give up, carry on and things like that. So that's amazing. But in terms of like motivation as well, so when you do face adversities and stuff, how do you like sort of overcome that and things, aside of having a support system? Like, is it something that you do, like some sort of mantra or something? Like, how do you keep motivated apart from a support system?
I say the secret to stay motivated, especially when things get hard, is don't wait to build yourself up until you get to that difficult moment. So every day for me, I'm looking at how am I speaking to myself? What is the content I'm consuming? Who are the people that are around me? So by the time I get to those difficult moments, I've already got that confidence in myself I've trained myself to say, you know what, you can do this, you've got this. So even if in this moment I don't have the answer, I believe in my ability to find the answer sooner rather than later. So yeah, the secret is build your foundations as much as you can. Like, go to therapy, listen to good content, read great books, look at people who've accomplished the things that you want to do. Because one thing you'll realize is that there's hardly anything that somebody before you hasn't already done and hasn't already figured out. And a lot of the time they've actually already given you the answer if you just take the time to go and find it.
Yeah, no, that's very key. So you mentioned that you had like a basketball coach company, and I think that also, did that play a role into sort of like some of the leadership roles that you have now in terms of like owning a business and things like that? How was that like, and is that kind of like a taste of being a leader and, you know, the different roles that you kind of have acquired over time?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. Before I became a coach, I was a player. So in my career, we managed to win a national championship when I was younger, which was great.
That's amazing. That's something that we need to toast to as well. No, that's amazing. Okay.
So, but the secret to that really stuck with me is I wasn't the best player on that team. However, I had a role to play, and it was very okay for me to step aside, let somebody else score more of the points, or do this, or get the spotlight, because at the end of the day, we all won. And taking that mentality into the world of work or business, is that you understand that everyone's got a position to play, and it's all about what is the vision that you're all working towards and moving towards. So if you can put your egos aside, support each other, and stay focused, then your chances of success get much higher. And then even within that, to be able to be a good leader, you do first need to learn to be a good follower as well.
Yes, because people don't know how to listen sometimes.
Exactly.
And it's like, how can you be a leader if you don't know how to listen to the people who you're going to be leading?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really, really key. Now you have been also like different, you've been board directors of like various NHS trusts, I believe.
That's correct, yeah.
How did you get into that? Because you don't meet the average, like you don't meet a black man who is a board director. Like that's a big thing. How did you get into this, and like, yeah, how did this all come about?
So I'll say in my early 20s, I got picked out to be part of this leadership program for young black people.
Okay.
There was about 40 of us or so that they invested some time in leadership training, coaching, mentorship, things of that nature. And one of the people on the program, the CEO at the time, she took me aside and she pointed out, look at all the people that sit on the board for this charity. They're like millionaires, billionaires, some of the like most influential black people in the country. And she said, notice how all of them have board roles. So she then told me, you know what? I want you to figure out how do you get yourself into those rooms.
Wow.
It took me like another 7 to 8 years to figure out how to make it happen. But in essence, it's about building your credibility, being able to tell your story well, and also having the skills to add. So it's a lot more achievable than what people think it is. And God willing, later this year, I'm actually looking at releasing a new business that will be teaching people how to do exactly that for themselves as well.
Amazing. No, that's amazing. Because I think, yeah, like you said, it's information is there, but like it's like you have to like go looking for it, but you have to also be willing to go look for it. And I think it's amazing that like you're putting this information out, because it's not something that people know, and like you said, it's also easier than what people think, but we don't know this information, especially like in the black community as well. It's not something that's like taught or it's part of the culture and stuff. So it's amazing that you're wanting to share this information, because I think sometimes people get to the top and want to hoard and not open doors for other people. So I think it's amazing that you're sharing this knowledge and helping other black people also get into these spaces. But what are your thoughts actually on this sort of having this revolving door of one person in at a time? Because I think that's something that tends to happen sometimes, where people don't want to kind of, it's like, I want to be the token black person that's like in these spaces. And I've seen it happen, especially like the corporate world as well. Like you sit in meetings and it's like, sometimes there's not even any person from like a BAME background, like, and it's like, you're the only person there, and it's like, wow, like, you know what I mean? So sometimes it feels like it's a bit like one person in at a time. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'll say it comes from a scarcity mindset on multiple dimensions. So for people that don't want to share and bring other people in, it's because you feel somebody else is going to take away from your success.
Yeah.
For my mentality is like, okay, this is level 1. I can bring somebody in here because I need to go further still. And from the other side of the table, so when you do go into these rooms, yes, they are majority men, majority middle-aged, majority white. Like that's just the reality of the situation right now. And to some extent, it is people don't want to be replaced. But I think way more than that, what the real reasons why it's happening is because they want to pick people that they already know and trust. Because when you have to make some really difficult decisions, you need people around you that you can count on, and that's because of their skills and because of their character. But the issue is they can only pick from the people they already know. Exactly. So the more of us that get into those type of situations, then the more we can bring other people in, because you'll be like, oh, you know what, I know this person here, like they're good people, and they will actually be an asset to what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, because I think, sometimes in the corporate world as well, even when people are like they're hiring, for example, and they're hiring internally, but they won't say that they're hiring internally, and it's like they make it look like they're hiring. They want to make it all inclusive of everybody. Anyone can hire, anyone can apply. Sorry. But then you realise that like actually it's your mate that you brought in to get that job, and it happens a lot. So I think it's amazing, like I said, that being in this spaces and wanting to help people to get into these spaces as well. Now, aside of entrepreneurship, you also have a podcast, Behind the Dreams. And just as we started, you mentioned that you had previously had a podcast back in 2013.
I did.
What made you want to start a podcast then?
So I think I was a little bit ahead of the curve with that one. So for years, I remember literally having my actual iPod, having to plug it into my computer.
Not the iPod days.
Literally, that's how long ago it was for me. And it's just, I just discovered it early. I found some shows that I loved, and just really enjoyed the experience of it. And I could see the way that tech was going. I could see the way society was going. That podcasts were going to blow up. So I thought, you know what, let me jump on this. Like I said, a little bit too early. Although a few friends of mine that went on to launch pretty big podcasts, they say that listening to what I produced was actually the first time they even heard about podcasting, and then they went into the game as a result of that. So yeah, I just thought it was going to blow up. I thought it was going to be a really great way to connect with people, and went from there.
Yeah, okay. And then you stopped after a month?
One episode.
One episode, okay. Okay, but this happens, because I feel like even with podcasts or anything that you start out, I think sometimes it's important to know that you can start and stop, but as long as you don't just stop, I think that's really important. So, why did you stop after one episode? Is it because you felt like you wanted it? You didn't like the content that you created, or it didn't have the impact? Like, what was the reason?
No, I loved it. I loved the episode. I loved the experience by its capacity. Okay. So I was trying to do too many things at the same time. And one of the lessons that I've now learned that's allowed me to get to where I am is build the systems and build the processes and build the teams that allow you to do multiple things at the same time. At that point, I was just like, let me just work harder and I can accomplish it all. That's not how life works. Yeah. So with my podcast now, there's a team that does the vast majority of the work.
I love that. Yeah. So, I mean, I wish we could all have a team. No, that's amazing. Because then, so talk to me about your podcast, actually, because I love the name Behind the Dreams, and I feel like when it comes to making your dreams happen and your vision happen, you need a team. And I think you can't always be a solo, like a one-man band kind of thing. So talk to me about the podcast, starting again. What was that feeling like? This time having a team, what was that like?
Having a team was a complete game changer. It was, so firstly, shout out to our executive producer, Abisoye. I call her the CEO of my podcast. There would be no show without her. There's no doubt whatsoever. And it feels good to have people that I can count on to drive this forward. In fact, people that I have to be accountable to. If like I shared my dream, I shared my vision, and now it's like, do you want this to happen? Then we need to do X, we need to do Y, we need to invest into this. So that experience has been completely different. And now my mentality is, if you want to keep on getting better, let me just keep finding the best people around. Let me hire them, even if they do this part or that part, and then the end result is going to be so much more than what I could have done by myself.
I love that. I love that, because like I've said as well, that like having people supporting your vision as well is really important, because you can't just be you can't be a one-man band. So I think having people supporting you is really, really important. But in terms of like the name behind the dreams, like what was like the I would say influence behind it?
So the company which probably most people know me for is a business called Dream Nation.
Yeah.
And initially this was meant to be the podcast from Dream Nation, and we wanted to show a little bit more around what does it take to build a company like that, especially the company that we are in the process of taking it towards now. However, we are doing a bit of that, but what I began to also realize is by bringing on amazing guests who have these great stories and great experiences and lessons to share, it also begins to build a bit of a blueprint of these are the common traits, the mentalities, the skills, or what, like essentially showing people what is the blueprint or what does it take to truly become successful.
Yeah.
And it's often, it can be the technical stuff, but we don't really touch that. It's more around who are you as a person. And I think that's what people tend to miss out, is that your success tends to be limited by your capacity. So hopefully through the show, we're helping people to actually expand their capacity so they can go even further.
Okay, no, that's amazing. Now, having like all these things that you're juggling, capacity and things like that, how do you make time? Do you make time for like friends and things like that? Because I think now that we're getting older as well, it's hard to see friends. Everybody's got a job and things like that. So how do you like make sure that you keep your community around you despite the amazing things that you're achieving as well?
It's hard. Like that's the honest truth. I am generally struggling to make it work. But what I've now started to do is I've actually now brought my team into helping that happen as well.
Okay.
So with the people that handle my admin, my diary, I will now tell them I want to be able to see X, Y, Z people within this sort of time period. Can you help me make that work? So they will carve out the time in my day. They'll work out the travel time or all the things that need to make it happen.
That's
so
amazing.
then it's
I
like
wish I could have that. That is amazing. And also, obviously, like you're successful and things like that. What is that like when it comes to dating? Does it have an impact? You know, you have got loads of things going on, capacity and things like that. Has it got an impact on dating or anything like that? Or
yeah, massively.
Yeah,
massively. Two sides to it actually.
Okay.
On one side, it is making time.
Okay.
Full stop.
Yeah.
But then the other side, and I think a lot of men that are successful will experience this, is if it is out there in the world, then you can often have people attracted to you for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So being able to find the right person who has the right character, that becomes increasingly hard to do, because you realize very quickly that beauty is great and important, but that's really not the whole story.
Yeah.
So can you find someone that is thinking in the right way, that's actually going to help you move forward or not? It's a lot harder thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. It's funny because women will then say, but actually it's the opposite. It's hard to find men who are successful, and it's just there's more to them than just what's on the outside and what they're providing. So it's interesting that you said that. But just to close the show, we like to close the show on something for our viewers to be inspired by, and I feel like especially young men, young black men, what is something that for someone watching and wanting to get into a position that you are, what is one advice that you have for them that they can take and fulfill their dreams and ambitions that they have?
I would say two things. Read and take action.
Okay.
So there's so many amazing books out there. Like the vast majority of the things that got me through my 20s was because I read about it and then I acted on it. I would say for everybody, especially if you're a little bit younger, treat your 20s as the whole time period as where you're there to learn. It's not just university, it's up until 29, even into your 30s. And then after that, that's when you need to be focused on performing. So your salary and all of that, it's important, but not that important. What matters way more is how much are you learning. And it might mean that you start off what looks like a little further behind your peers, but like in my case, for example, looks like I was a little bit behind, then hit my 30s, now gone clear.
Zooming off.
Exactly, because the foundations were laid.
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much for coming. I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, on that note, can we toast to that? Can we toast to you and all the amazing things you're doing?
Thank you.
So before we close the show, where can people find you? Where can people who want to engage more in terms of like your podcast and stuff and the businesses that you've got and things that's coming out, where can they find you?
Okay, the For the podcast, YouTube, definitely. Just search Behind the Dreams podcast and you'll be able to see our episodes. Make sure you subscribe there. For me in general, find me on Instagram. So it's Claud Williams, Claud_Williams_, and there's no E in Claud.
Okay. Love that. Thank you so much. I love how you like there's no E.
That happens all the time, so.
I love that. Thank you.
Great, my pleasure.